conversations about the male-female dynamic and the need for black heroes and your ability to capture the voice of men. But it also seems that in Etta Mae's story here, you really touched on a lot of themes that women and single women and women holding up more than half the world would relate to. How did that female voice come to you?
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, because I live in a very gender-conscious world, right? We live in a very gender-conscious world. And, like 99.9% of everything we are is the same, right? I mean, you get hungry, you get old, you get horny. I mean, like, it's all these things that we get. I know there's little tiny differences that make men and women very different, I mean, they're like, there's those tiny moments. But, the feeling of pain, the feeling of the loss of love, I think when Moss was talking to her, they were, like, together making that baby, I mean, it was like, and they both understood it. So for me, it's not that, I mean, there's a little bit, but mostly, the pain that she feels, you could put that pain in anyone,
You feel it's universal?
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, in a way you kind of have to, otherwise, politically, you start to say, well, there's a difference, because, things, kind of, not everything breaks down to politics, but a lot does. And so for me, it's very important to know, well, yeah, men and women, they're, we have, like, the same issues. That's why, that women and men should get paid the same amount of money for doing a job, because, they bring the same thing, there. And so, so that's what I'm doing. But yes, I usually write about black male heroes because nobody writes about black male heroes. And it's like, and we have all these heroes, we have all these great guys, who, have flaws, have problems, Lamarck, I think it's like, probably the weakest character here, but it's a great deal of strength that he has. He wants to save his father, So for all the things that he doesn't know, that he's unable to do, that he's not ready for, that doesn't mean that he's not going to give everything to save his father's life. I think that's a heroic act. It's not that Lamarck is a hero, but it's a heroic act. And black men have, we have this, we got a bad rep in America, and so like, people don't. They don't pay attention to the greatness. I mean, everybody's like great. All men, like all women, are great. But black men seem to get kind of pushed out of that life. So I had an image. One day I was waiting for a plane years and years and years ago. I'm going to get on this plane, and over in the distance is a man, an older black man, about 70, and he's with like this 2-year-old boy. Like boys. I mean, the boy's just climbing. And his grandfather, moving his hands, and the kid's all over the place, and the plane is late, and the kid is moving, and he just keeps putting his hands there so the kid will have somewhere to go so he doesn't go crazy, right? And the kid's climbing and everything like that. And it was so funny, because later on, when I got on the plane, I realized that this guy was George Smith, my father's best friend. I didn't know that, but then going to the same city was wild. But when I didn't know who it was, I'm saying, God, I never see this image in books, in movies, in plays. You just don't see it. Because black men, that's not what people think about black men. Well, black men are bad fathers. They're bad in their children. Black men are this, black men are that. But black men are also George Smith. So, so in the general work, the larger, the scope of the work, I try to talk about black male heroes because, like I say, nobody does. I mean, it really is. It's not nobody. It's one or two. But, like, I mean, it's a very limited field. I don't have much competition.